Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Anton, and welcome to today's video for Backpack Battles. What are we doing today? Well, it's been a while since I've been doing content for Backpack Battles and really just doing content on YouTube in general. Mostly just been busy with stuff. You probably don't care. I'm rambling about this stuff, but I am getting back into doing content for YouTube. We're going to be starting off with this video. However, I have been streaming over on Twitch in case you have been missing the content. As always, you can check me out over on Twitch at twitch.tv/Senington, where I stream pretty much every single day, playing a lot of Backpack Battles. But today, we are talking about the patch. Patch 0.9.12. It's a big one. First off, we have some balance changes, which we will talk about, but we have a lot of new items, and some of these items are pretty good. Some of these items are not so good in my opinion, but we will talk about them all. So yes, let's get right into the patch. So, patch notes version 0.192, summer update is what they're calling it. It is here. Biggest update yet with 15 new items, a lot of quality of life additions, some of which I really am very thankful for, and 3 new music tracks, which, well, to me, I don't really care too much about, but, you know, that's nice. Also, for all you plushie lovers out there, there is a Rainbow Goobert plushie. Don't forget to grab your Rainbow Goobert plushie. It's only available for 1 more week. Click the plushie on the title screen. You can see them like right down there, by the way. So yeah, if you like plushies, consider purchasing the Rainbow Goobert plushie. So yeah, as it was said, there are a lot of things to go over. So let's get right into it. So first off, we have all these new items. Prismatic Orb, Unidentified Amulet, alongside all the amulets it can transform into: Amulet of Life, Feasting, Energy, Wild Alchemy, and Steel. Reaper item only in the form of Toad. Prismatic Sword, Stone Golem, Shiny Shell, Shell Totem, Oil Lamp, Monarchy Neckel, and Box of Prosperity. Also, I love this little quality of life thing. An undo function. You can go back to old inventory placements with Control Z, redo with Control Y. This to me is great. You can also like set up like snapshots too as well, which I'm not going to use too much. But I do like this function because occasionally when organizing my board, I will misplace a bag, causing part of my board to blow up and have everything fall back into the storage. So it is nice that we can basically Control Z and fix all that. Summer themed outfit for each chibi. I really like them, especially the Reaper one. New background music for combat when in survival mode, and then a bunch of balance changes. First off, we will look at I will just quickly show you all the chibis, and then we will talk about the new items, and then we will talk about the balance changes. So, let's do that. First off, as I was saying though, new chibis, new chibi skins. This is the Reaper one. I love it. Ranger one looks like this. Also very nice. I like them all, in all honesty. Love the art on all of them. This is the Pyromancer one, my favorite Pyromancer chibi skin yet. And I like the hair on the Berserker, but this is what the Berserker skin looks like completely. And because occasionally some people want to know, if you want to have chibis like this because they are not enabled by default, you just go into your settings and make sure you have the Show Chibis option enabled. Now, the more important thing, the items. Let's go look at these new items. Let's talk about these new items. We will go in order the items were mentioned in the patch notes. So first off, we have Prismatic Orb, which is, I believe, a godly item. There it is. Prismatic Orb, it is a 12 gold godly item. Had some nice stars. Start a battle for each magic item. Start, of course. Magic item, gain 2 mana. Vamp item, gain 1 vampirism. Holy item, increase your healing by 5%. I think that is really good, by the way. And dark item, inflict a random debuff. Every 7 seconds, gain 1 of every type of buff. You might think like, wow, for 12 gold, that kind of sucks. Yes and no. Yes, it does kind of suck. But if you can generate heat, you can get a lot of buffs, so that's pretty sweet. Plus, the holy item star is pretty solid. 5% extra healing is pretty nice. But, in my opinion, this is meant to be not an item you just buy and you sit on. It's meant to be a prismatic sword item, because you make prismatic sword with wooden sword and prismatic orb. We'll talk a little bit more about that. In fact, we'll just talk about it now. Prismatic sword is made with wooden sword and prismatic orb. As you can see, it's a pretty standard weapon, does some damage, uses stamina, etc., etc. However, it has a lot of stars, same type of stars that Falcon Blade and Hero Longsword has, so that has 8 stars around it. It also has a couple of gem slots in it too. So, for each starred magic item, gain 8% attack speed. For each starred vampiric item, plus 15% lifesteal. Each holy item, 0.3 damage on hit. And each dark item, plus 10% chance to inflict 3 random debuffs on hit. I really like this weapon. I just feel like it's a little too hard to make. And for how hard it is to make, it doesn't feel like it's good enough. Like, you need to still make the weapon, and then you need to fill up its stars. Sure, there are some builds out there that look strong when you have it, but they're really not that consistent. But it is a very fun item. I really like it with, say, like a Reaper, Cursed Dagger as a dark weapon, a dark item, some other stuff too around it to get like lots of dark items around it, maybe a couple of holy items as well. So I really like this. Next up, let's talk about the amulets, because there's a lot to talk about here. So there are, what? I believe 6 amulets in the game. Technically 7. But each of these amulets are not technically in the shop. The only amulet that shows up in the shop is the unidentified amulet. Unidentified amulet, 6 gold amulet, it says on buy, gain a random effect. Basically, you can read it as on buy, turns into one of the amulets. This is complete RNG. So I personally feel like unless you really, really need a specific amulet, probably skip amulets unless you're a build that can use every single amulet or almost all amulets and you have like a lot of econ going on. Or they're on sale, because that is a lot of gold you are losing if you buy an amulet and it turns out to be an amulet you do not want. But let's go through all the amulets. First amulet, Amulet of Life. Start battle, gain 20 health, increases your healing by 20%. This one is just decent all around. I kind of like it. We got the Armor Amulet next, Amulet of Steel. Start battle, gain 20 armor. Start item gains 50 armor, gain an Empower. It's kind of whatever, but it's okay with, I think, vampiric armor, maybe a hammer dagger vampiric armor kind of thing. Amulet of Feasting, this thing's kind of nuts. Starred Food, as you can see, its stars are kind of crazy, lots of stars. Starred Food triggers 30% faster. That is a much faster big increase there. Food bought restock with a random food. So, you know, you buy a banana and you just bought that banana. Now another food is in its place. It's not class specific. That is a very important thing to realize. This way you can buy things like cheese and chili pepper as a Reaper or a Ranger. So you buy, say, you see a blueberry in the shop, you buy the blueberry, now it's replaced by a cheese. And now you're a Reaper who has access to cheese. So you can maybe perhaps go with Excalibur. I really like this thing. Next amulet, Amulet of Energy, 1 star on it. Start a battle, the start item triggers 100% faster for 1 second. That's fine. Buff used, refund 20% of the used buff. This is a global effect. This is not affecting only the start item. So any item anywhere on your board, if it uses a buff, it will give you back 20% of said buff that is used. So that is pretty strong if you are using buffs. So, you know, mana usage stuff, the staffs and stuff. Amulet of the Wild, after 5 seconds, trigger the starred pet. Pretty okay. And then you gain 3 spikes. Max damage dealt by spikes against melee and range attacks, plus 30%. It's okay. I really like this one. Amulet of Alchemy. Start a battle, gain 3 random buffs. Starred potion consumed. 35% chance to repeat its effect after 3 seconds. I really do like it. It's a good step towards making potion-centric builds good again, but the problem I mentioned earlier about needing a very specific amulet, you do like this amulet in potion builds, but you probably don't want to like waste a lot of money looking for this when you could just buy more potions instead. So that is all. Those are all the amulets. I really like them. Yeah, the RNG is a little frustrating, but they are all pretty powerful. So very nice. Next up, we have the Toad. I have personally been saying Frog instead of Toad. But it's technically called Toad. I still say Frog though, so in the future videos, you will probably hear me referring to this guy as Frog. He is a very cute little boy. He has a little hat, and he's got a little pipe that blows out bubbles. What does he actually do though? He is a 6 gold epic. Okay. Start items, he has 4 stars here. Start items gain 10 buffs, heal for 10. Start items use 10 buffs, gain 1 luck and 1 mana. And every 4 seconds, no matter what, he will give you 1 luck and 1 mana. If you're not using his starred effect stuff, he kind of sucks in all honesty every 4 seconds. Because if you're not gaining buffs or using buffs in those stars, basically you spend 6 gold to gain 1 luck and 1 mana every turn or every 4 seconds. That is not good. The nice thing about him is he is a 1/1 pet. I think he is the first 1/1 pet, in fact. So that's really good with stars that care about pets. So things like Snake and Vulpertinger. I don't think he's too good in snake builds, but you know, you put a couple of frogs, a couple of toads next to a Vulpertinger, a bunny. It's pretty solid. I like it. Next up, let's talk about Stone Golem. I believe Prismatic Sword is next, but you know, we already talked about Prismatic Sword. So let us talk about Stone Golem. First off, I think this guy is really bad. You can try him, but I do think he is a little bad. He is a combination item. You need 4 rocks and a heart to make him. He basically works as a ranged weapon, similar to whelps and chunks. He has a gem slot in him too, so that is also nice. But what does he do? He does some damage, doesn't use up stamina, so that's a big positive. Huge cooldown of 6 seconds though, but you can get around that. But when he hits your opponent, you gain an Empower and has a 30% chance to stun for 0.5 seconds. Because of that, I kind of feel like he's really just meant for Hammer Dagger, and that's it. But even in Hammer Dagger, I'm not too excited by the Stone Golem, but I don't think he's that bad in Hammer Dagger. Outside of Hammer Dagger, whatever. He has 4 stars, and his stars are meant for Bag of Stones of all things, but basically deals +7 damage for each Bag of Stones. I feel like that means you're supposed to play like 2 Bag of Stones, 4 rocks as your mid game, and then you eventually make Stone Golem. I feel like that's what they're trying to lead you to. Whatever. And then use 7 regen, reduce the cooldown to 3 seconds, so you're no longer that 6-second cooldown, and gain 150 armor. Only once though. That's a lot of armor, but you need to have 7 regen. For that, again, I feel like this guy is meant to be Ranger Hammer Dagger kind of item, you know, with Yggdrasil Leaf, which personally, I don't like Ranger Hammer Dagger with Yggdrasil Leaf. I think Hammer Dagger Ranger is only good with Mega Clover. And if you're not playing Stone Golem with Hammer Dagger, you're playing Stone Golem with Yggdrasil Leaf and say like Bloodthorn maybe, I guess? I'm not a big fan of that. I'm saying Yggdrasil Leaf because, you know, the leaf gives you a lot of regen right away, so you can activate Stone Golem right away. Maybe you guys have an idea of how to use this guy better. I can't think of one. Next up, we got the shells. Let's talk about the shells really quick. Nothing crazy here. 2 gold holy item. After 5 seconds, heal for 5, increased by 3 for each start holy item. It only activates once. It says after 5 seconds, not every 5 seconds, kind of like how Banana says every 5 seconds, and Banana keeps going over and over. Shell only activates once. Doesn't mean it's bad though. It's just realize that. If it activated every 5 seconds, it would be really good. Next up, we have Shell Totem, which is a combination item. Wooden sword plus the shell to create Shell Totem. It is technically a weapon that doesn't do damage. Huge stamina cost of 2, 0.6 per second. Pretty long cooldown of 3.2 seconds as well. Every 3.2 seconds, if your health is above 70, gain 1 Empower. Otherwise, heal for 8. However, you can make it so it uses 15% less stamina for each holy item. So you can, you know, put them next to each other since they are holy items themselves. If you are confused by the weapon not doing damage, it's not the first weapon that doesn't do damage, because technically Unhealing Staff is a weapon that doesn't really do damage. Got a couple more items now. 3 more items, I believe. We got Oil Lamp up next. This is one of those items I'm not really sure what it's meant for. Oil Lamp is a 7 gold item with 1 star on it. Start of battle, gain 2 heat. Every 3 seconds, the starred weapon gains 1 damage and 5% accuracy. Obviously, I can read that. I know what that means, but for 7 gold, that effect does not feel good enough. So usually I skip this thing when I see it for 7 gold, unless I am a build that really, really needs to hit heat for some reason. It being an epic item is also, or sorry, a fire item is also nice to light like coal and torches, so that's pretty solid. But I do like it when it's on sale, but I almost never buy this thing for 7 gold in my opinion. It is nice to also like fight against blind builds, so that's also pretty sweet. Next up, we got Monarchy Nickel. Really like this item. I probably overrate this item. Has 6 stars, as you can see here, 10 gold item. Right away, sale chance plus 3%, whatever. Everything else it does makes use of the stars. Value of the start items greater than 20%. It's greater than, by the way, just make note of that. Not greater than or equal to. So for this thing, it has to hit 21 gold, not 20. Value of start items greater than 20. 50% chance to resist crits. That's pretty solid. Value of start items greater than 40 gold. Godly and unique items trigger 20% faster. I really like both of these sides of the cat, the Monarchy Nickel. It does kind of mess with my stamina calculations, but I really like this. Being able to speed up things like chonks, dark sabers, rapiers, curse daggers, cauldrons. I really like this thing. So pretty good item. I feel like the first one is a trap though, if you see it too early, because 10 gold is quite a bit of gold. If you can get it on sale early and you can activate at least the first half, the 15% resist on crits, sure. But I am not going to be spending 10 gold on a Monarchy Nickel around round 9, round 10. I think that is a waste of gold and is going to cause you to lose like a round or two. And the final new item is a new bag, Box of Prosperity. Box of Prosperity, not much going on with it. It is a combination item. You have to have a Monarchy Nickel and you have a box of gems. Similar to, I'd say, I don't know, I would say like a fire item. Doesn't actually use up the Monarchy Nickel, but it does use up the box of gems. Basically, you can think of it like the Nickel is taking all the gems and leaving you with an empty box. And this empty box is a 2x2. Just a simple leather bag. However, it does have an effect that says if you enter the shop and this has at least 3 godly or unique items inside, you get to generate a chipped gemstone. That is a lot of work to get that payoff, and a chipped gemstone, that is the very, very first form of the gemstones. It's not a great payoff, but if you're struggling on space and you have some gem boxes in a Monarchy Nickel, sure. Plus, you are going to get that gem before, the gem box turns into the Box of Prosperity, so it's not a bad item. Back when this first was being tested, I believe it actually needed 4 godly or unique items. So yeah, it's fine, but don't go out of your way to activate it basically if you buy this and make this. Anyway, those are all the new items. I do love them. I'd love to hear your opinion on them. We will go through the balance changes as well really quick. Not that many balance changes, but there are some that are important, so we will really quickly go through them. Also, some new combat log stuff. I won't go through it too much, but just some nice extra information in the combat log now. Now, balance. Debuffs that are reflected can no longer be reflected a second time. Solid. It's not going to change much, but that is nice. Reworked Burning Torch, so now there's no more heat threshold, but it just has a chance increased. Very cool. Mana Orb now only triggers once alongside Jin Lamp. Mana Orb also now needs 35 mana instead of 30 mana to activate, and it gives you 17 buffs instead of 12 buffs, which is fine. Like, these are both big nerfs, but the problem with Mana Orb was Reapers were making mana too easily now, thanks to Frog, thanks to Toad. So yeah, and the whole reason it will trigger once now is because you could technically make an infinite loop with Amulet of Energy, so yes, there is now a hard cap of 1. If you did actually manage to somehow make an infinite loop of mana generation with Amulet of Energy, you would actually crash the game, and you would actually lose if that happened, so there you go. They have also added the magic type to Blueberry, Crown, Holy Spear, King Crown, and King Goo. This is great for things like Dancing Dragon, the Green Dragon, and also great for the Prismatic Sword. So yeah, great to see. Glowing Crown, King Crown, and King Goo have all gotten buffs. The crowns themselves are a little bit faster, 0.1 second faster, which is solid. Not really sure they needed the buff, but I will take it. King Goo's invincibility he gives you now is 0.1 second longer. Very great. Spear, not really sure why they're buffing Spear, but it has an extra +1 damage to the minimum side, so minimum damage +1. Holy Spear now, quite a few changes to Holy Spear. It is a lot slower now. Cooldown from 1.4 to 2.5 seconds. Does more damage though, 13 to 18. And it removes more block, more armor. It removes 10 armor instead of 6 armor now, so that's great. Not really sure Holy Spear is going to be good, but maybe you can try some Holy Spear Ranger stuff with this. I don't know, though. Holy Armor and Corrupted Armor are getting an extra 5 block to them. Solid. It has felt like the defense items have been getting a little left behind. Spectral Dagger is now 0.2 seconds faster. Kind of scary to see that. Especially when things like Hero Longsword, Hammer Dagger are pretty solid. Potion Belt buff. Cleanses 4 previously, now it cleanses 5. I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think that's going to change too much for Potion Belt. Stone Helm has an extra 5 block now. Love that. Crossblades has an extra +3 damage to it. In my opinion, that's mostly to try and incentivize building Crossblades more and more because both Falcon Blade and Hero Longsword are kind of like endgame items. So it looks like they're trying to incentivize people to go Crossblades more. Thornbloom gets another buff. It now has a 50% empower chance, and it gets +1 damage, so that is pretty nice. Backpack Emerald and Backpack Sapphire are now giving more of their stuff, so more and faster regen and more and faster cold. Tim is getting a nerf. Crit hits and debuff resistance is down to 25% instead of 30%, but he is 1 gold cheaper. Sure, he's cheaper, but that 5% is a big loss. Tim did have a really high win rate though, especially when put into armor to get all that crit and debuff resistance, so it kind of does make sense they're nerfing him, but feels sad. Love this nerf though. I do really hate playing against hammers, so they are nerfing hammer by 5%, stun chance from 50 to 45%. Feel like this mostly affects non-ranger hammer dagger builds because rangers can play things like Lucky Pig, but I still like this nerf. And then we have some class-specific changes. Pyromancer Burning Banner now is a little slower by 0.2 seconds, but it now has a 50% blind chance instead of 30%, which is fine. The cooldown I always felt was a little too good. Like that side of it is too good, removing your buff so quickly and gaining regen. Friendly Fire has a 0.1 second buff, which is fine. And Dark Lantern is getting nerfed from 9 to 8 debuffs per dark item, which is in total, if you have every single dark item in the Lantern, that's only like -4 debuffs, which is, it's a nerf, but it's not a big nerf. Berserker reworked Wolf Emblem, the puppy badge, if you don't remember what that is. It no longer gives debuff resistance, it now gives empower or block based on your current block, which is kind of scary, especially if they had the Wisdom Puppy. I think the Wisdom Puppy is the puppy that gives block. Anvil now has been also reworked a little bit. It now affects 2 weapons instead of 1 weapon, but it gives less bonus damage. It is overall a nerf, I feel, but if you can somehow, if you're on a double weapon build, so something like, you know, Mana Torch Falcon Blade, Mana Torch Mana Thirst, Double Axe plus something, I don't know. It's almost the same if you're on a double weapon build anyway. Almost. I still think you get a little less damage though if you're on double weapon build compared to the previous Anvil. And Ranger. Ranger has quite a few changes here. Mega Clover has been slightly reworked. Mega Clover now only needs 15 luck instead of 20 luck to activate, and you only get 25 buffs instead of the 40 buffs. I'd say it's a slight buff, but more likely it's just a side grade. Bow and Arrow, the big bow and arrows, all of them. So, you know, Bow and Arrow, Belladonna Whisper, Tusk Piercer, Fortuna's Grace, they all use a lot less stamina now, from 1.5 to 1.2. A little scary to see all that, but whatever. And Belladonna's Whisper, damage needed per poison has gone from 7 to 6, so slight buff there. And Carrot has been buffed from 4 seconds to 3.5 seconds, which is honestly a little scary as a Reaper player. As for Reaper, there are no changes. Reaper, they seem to be fine with how Reaper has been doing, so no buffs, no nerfs for Reaper. Kinda wish they had buffed something, but nothing at all. And everything else in the patch notes is basically just bug fixes and some random stuff like, yeah, adding new sounds, adding some particles and stuff. But that is basically it. I'd love to hear your opinion though on the patch. What do you think of the new items? What do you think of the balance changes? I've been playing a lot of backpack battles though with the new items, mostly Reaper, but I've also been playing with the other classes too. Been trying out some Toad stuff, some Prismatic Sword stuff, lots of Monarchy Neko stuff as well. So yeah, I'd love to hear your opinion though on the patch. And just how you think the meta's going to shape up. I personally feel like Pyromancer is going to be top dog of the meta, number 1, followed closely by... I'd say Berserker still is going to be number 2. Maybe Ranger, though, but I think Berserker. I think Reaper is going to be the worst of the classes, but maybe something can pop up with Frogs. Or Toad, sorry. Toad is a really good item, though, so maybe something can pop up with Toad. Perhaps something with, like, Struggles, Misfortune, Toad. I do think Struggles, Misfortune plus Toad is really strong, by the way. Anyway, though, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you liked watching the video. If you liked it, I'd love it if you could leave a like or a comment down below. It always helps me out, and it always helps out the channel. If you want to keep up with the Backpack Battles content, you can always go and subscribe to the channel as well. And if you want to watch me play some more Backpack Battles, you can go and check me out over on Twitch at twitch.tv/Zenitton, where I stream pretty much every single day. Anyway, though, with that all said and done, thank you all once more for watching this video. And until I see you guys in the next one, bye!